Highlanders Football Club has received its punishment from the Premier Soccer League Disciplinary Committee for the pitch invasion and violence that occurred after their league match against Chicken Inn. Bosso CEO Ndumiso Gumede gave details of the verdict.
The Highlanders Football Club has been fined $3,500 and $1,500 has been suspended, and the $2,000 must be paid by Highlanders. Further, the disciplinary committee has ordered that Highlanders ought to play their next league game in an empty stadium.
Gumede said Highlanders would proceed and play their next home match before their supporters, as communication about the penalty arrived too late for them to prevent fans from watching their match. The Bosso CEO said the club's executive had resolved to appeal the Premier Soccer League decision.
We had already planned for this game, and there is no way that the decision to play in an empty stadium could be effected on this particular weekend. So the game against Bulawayo City Council Football Club will go ahead as planned this weekend. Secondly, the executive has made a decision that the club will appeal the decision taken, because we think it is far too harsh to the effect that it causes a sense of shock, and therefore the club will appeal.
In June, Harare Giants and Dynamos were handed a similar judgment for crowd trouble, but up to today, the blue and white-shirted former champions have not served their sentence after they lodged an appeal with the now-defunct National Football Association of Zimbabwe, NAFAZ. Perhaps borrowing a leaf from the Dynamos book, Highlanders have gone the same route for recourse, hence on Sunday against Bulawayo City, it's business as usual.
The disciplinary committee refers to a case earlier which they dealt with, which we assume is the Dynamo's game, which, as you know, went into appeal. Then that appeal has not been heard, so we are taking that same route. We are also going to appeal and continue to play our game as normal until the appeal is held.
Gumede said the Premier Soccer League Disciplinary Committee was too harsh and overlooked other factors that led to the violence after the match.
It is too harsh and was not premised on circumstances that led to the pitch invasion. And it's not right for the disciplinary committee not to consider the points that we brought up on what caused that problem. And two situations came up there: the ineptitude of the referee and the heavy-handed nature of the police. That's what exacerbated the situation on that particular game. And those matters must be taken into account in coming up with a decision. You can't say anyway, it is written in the PSL rules that if there's an invasion, the fine is so much, therefore you are guilty. You have to consider the factors that caused the particular problem.
Gumede seemed to suggest that the Premier Soccer League was using big clubs to raise funds for their coffers, and advised that the money raised from penalizing clubs be reinvested into programs that curb hooliganism.
The situation of fines only affects 3 or 4 clubs. The other clubs hardly have anybody in the stadium. So they are not worried about the figures that are pushed out by the PSL. What the money is used for, we, the clubs, are not privileged to know. We would have loved to see that money being used to do programs and projects that address the hooliganism. It would be nice to see that the money is plowed back to address the problem of hooliganism.
Highlanders sustained to lose more than $10,000 from the potential of their next match against Bulawayo City should the Premier Soccer League insist on their ruling. The Bulawayo Giants net an average of $7,500 per home match, and add to that the $2,000 they have been fined. Bosso's financial woes cannot get worse than this. Highlanders' biggest headache is of course the amounting $700,000 debt, and Bosso's woes off the pitch are at variance to the on the pitch results that have left Highlanders in contention of a league and cup double.